Officers on the pursuit call. Suspect vehicle was last seen heading north near the power station. Containment will be set up ahead of his last known direction of travel. This call is still code 6. Handle on TAC 3.
Alright, so this is my unplanned and hopefully quick update video. As you can see, we got a lot going on separate from the last time that I did my thing. So based off of the last time, test drove the car after the subframe bushing installed. It still had that banging noise. I couldn't figure out what it is. Decided, hey, I'm probably gonna stop uploading. I gotta get my finances right so that I can save up probably $2,000, send the car to a shop and have a professional figure out that noise. Well, fast forward to today, that never happened. I figured out the noise. The noise was the subframe bushings, and it wasn't like faulty subframe bushings or anything like that. Specifically, the issue that I had filmed in there. So this bushing, you can see there's not that much clearance at the top anymore between that silver lip and the bushing itself. Why is that? Because I personally, at some point, I did a whole lot of research, a whole lot of narrowing things down, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, the only thing that I can possibly see wrong with my car rear end is the differential, axles, hubs, because those are all factory. But if it was like a bearing, that would be a grinding noise. If it was an axle, it would have excessive play. Those didn't have excessive play. If it was the differential, okay, cool. That's kind of where I got that $2,000 mark from. Cost to replace a differential with probably like a two-way or something like that, if not more. And the last one was the subframe bushings, because I did ask some people that use white line subframe bushings, and theirs were fully seated when they took a picture, but mine's weren't. And that, if you go back to that video, the little bit, it was like this much. That much extra play on that bushing was causing the subframe to come off the body and bounce back into the body, making that banging noise. So essentially at some point I dropped the whole subframe again, and I took literally a full, probably half a day. I did it on the weekend. I took a half a day of heating the subframe, smacking the ever-loving piss out of those bushings with a complete metal hammer with all of my might. And that also includes the fact that the grease is still, the assembly grease is still kind of in there and everything like that. That took half a day of beating to get that fully seated with all those conditions. And while I was at it, I fully seated the passenger side one as well, even though that one wasn't making any noise. While I was there, I knocked them both out. The front two didn't have those issues. Those were fully seated from the get-go, but it was just the rear ones that were having that problem. After I did that, test drove the car, no banging noise, all gone. Car is fully sound, ready to drive. And then I noticed coming back from that test drive that my battery voltage was dying whenever I hit like 7,000 RPM. So naturally, I check everything wiring wise and alternator wise. Come to find out that the battery positive cable that goes all the way to the front of the car and then splits, one piece going straight to the starter and the other piece going to the alternator. The one that went to the alternator wasn't fully connected. It was a loose connection. So I tightened that up, started the car, 7,000 RPMs, stays at 14.5 volts the entire time. Don't have to worry about any battery issues anymore. But it was scary coming back from the test drive with the subframe, doing one pull, seeing my voltage go from 14.5 to 13, and then doing another pull to verify it and seeing it go from 13 to 12. And it did not come back up. So as of right now, this car has two issues. Both will be fixed around the same time. One I couldn't control, the other one probably a bad install. The bad install is I have a extremely small oil leak from my rear head drain. I've already narrowed it down. It's coming from the line that goes up to the rear head drain and nothing else. Got to pull the engine to get back there. It's probably one of those fittings or fasteners that I tapered into the head. It's probably leaking. So I might have to throw some Teflon tape or something. I don't know. but would have to pull the engine to take care of that. And it's such a small leak. I'm talking about like maybe one drop every 3 weeks or something like that, like really small. And then there's the transmission issue. That's a known issue for those that pay attention on the channel. I got screwed by transmission builders in Chicago, CD09 transmission, paid for them to rebuild all the gears, all the synchros, all the forks, all that stuff, full rebuild, paid like $1,500 or something dollars. Got the transmission back, moved to Texas. And then a year after moving to Texas, I think that's when I got the car running and driving. Second gear grinds every single time. More than likely, it's probably like a fork or something like that that's misaligned, but got to pull the transmission in order to fix it. And I can't do it under warranty, even though mileage wise, it's probably got like 2 miles on it from the rebuild from the people in Chicago. But since that was in Chicago and 2 years ago, there's no way that I'm going to be able to get that warranty. So got to get the transmission fixed. And honestly speaking, if I pull this transmission out, I'm going to upgrade it. So more than likely, the day that I pull the engine and transmission to fix the rear head drain and get the transmission taken care of, I'll be upgrading to the CDO A from the 370Z instead of the CDO 9 from the 350Z, because the 370Z has the better synchros on second and third gear, I believe, and I'll be buying it straight from Nissan, so a little bit of a warranty there. I don't know if the shifter relocation will affect that, probably, but at least I know brand new from Nissan, it's gonna work, and all I have to do is just connect it to the adapters. It has the same housing, same adapter kit, all that stuff. So get an upgrade, don't have to worry about second gear grind anymore, and that should be that. But yeah, outside of those two issues, this car is ready to drive. Tuning wise, the car is still on somewhat of a base map. Not necessarily an actual base map, because the car was dyno tuned before I moved to Texas. It was dyno tuned by Sound Performance. So it is capable of actually performing. It's just at that time, it had a large number of boost leaks, electrical issues, blah, blah, blah. And all of those have been fixed now. So it does need a retune just to kind of account for all of the fixes that have been done. But in the midst of things, when I got the, when I installed the trigger kit, the Platinum Racing Products trigger kit for the RB, when I got that done, I had my tuner from Australia remote in and configure some more stuff to make it run a little bit smoother from the tune that was done on the dyno in Chicago. So it's perfectly capable of being enjoyed. I can run it, I can drive it, all that stuff. I just can't use second gear, and that's pretty much that. But the other thing that happened in the midst of all of this is, while I was working on my finances, me personally, I have to make progress towards something, whether big or small, just progress in some shape or fashion. Otherwise, I'm gonna go insane. So I decided to make my own rear over fenders. Why? Well, the reasoning behind it is, if you look at the wide body that I had previously, you can see that my wheels still stick out past it a little bit, and that was kind of annoying me. Even though these fenders were doubled up and bowed out and all that stuff, it just still wasn't quite wide enough. And the main thing that I wanted to do, as just from my dreams, I've always wanted to have one of those GT3 cars from like the JGTC early 90s kind of era. So for those that already know, the over fenders that are on here, this piece is S14, this piece is R32. And I did that to kind of get that body line that the R chassis have, and still have it wide enough to fit the wheels and all that stuff, but it wasn't wide enough. So me wanting a GT300 or I think it's GT300 style car, I was like, all right, well, what if I go the next level up and find the people that made the wide body kits for like the Calsonic R34, the Pennzoil R33, stuff like that, and see if they still have those molds and are willing to produce a fiberglass part. Then I can buy it and just make it fit the S14 like I did the R32 one right there. Well, A lot of research, a lot of talking to people and all that stuff. Come to find out, the company that originally made the molds and the wide body kit for like the R34 JGTC race cars, that company split into two. And somewhere along the lines of that split, the molds for the car or for that body kit were lost. And you can't get them anymore. The only way to get them is to have somebody 3D scan one of the race cars and reproduce it from that. And I don't have that type of money. So I did the next best thing. Next best thing was to create my own wide body kit, or at least rear over fenders, to make up for that. And that's what this is. Long, lengthy, very labor intensive process. But the biggest thing was it's cheap. I started off, I might make a full video, I don't know. But I started off with expanding foam. You can see it here. Expanding foam is like $5 a can, something like that. And then once I got it to the position that I wanted, hand sculpted, carved it out. I used putty to get a smooth surface, and that's what I used to make the mold. It's built on top of the over fenders so that I could get that width. It's the same width as the rear wheels. And if you want to see how wide that is, here we go. This is where the body is. And I can't even get it on the damn phone. It's almost, it's larger than a foot in terms of width. It's definitely over a foot wider in the back. So yeah, there's that. But it fits the style that I wanted. I still keep the body line that I wanted, and I'm making them into a mold so that I can continuously reproduce these. Like if I don't know, God forbid, I crash into a wall and the part cracks and shatters or whatever, I could just come back home, buy some fiberglass and make another one. So that's what these are. This is gonna be a mold so that I can continuously make these, or I could sell them. The only weird thing with it is this is made to incorporate the rear bumper, which is the Origins Lab racing line bumper. Because in the GT3 cars, if you look carefully, that body kit comes all the way back to where the bumper is. So you can see the bumper's here, and this kit comes all the way back there, and it comes down. So yes, I could resell them, but if you wanted to work, you would have to have a Origins Lab rear bumper to guarantee the fitment of this area. Right now, I'm just reinforcing some of the parts, some of the pieces that cracked on removal, and some of the areas that are a little bit light to make them stronger with the Bondo glass. Then I'm gonna use like a bed liner, to like a spray bed liner or something like that. Spray the whole outside so that this piece is extremely strong. And once this is extremely strong, then we'll move to the inside, take care of any imperfections, and use the inside to make the actual part that will go on the car. And then I get to remove all of that stuff. So that'll be fun. But like I said, I might make a different video, separate video for that. Once the over fenders got started, I was like halfway through the process of making the over fenders when I fixed the subframe issue and then fixed the alternator issue. So I had to finish this because I definitely am not finna have a situation where I was driving the car to enjoy it and all this stuff blows off. I can't even tell you how many hours it took for me to sculpt these wide body over fenders in the back and all that stuff. So definitely finishing this process first. I'm not going to lose all that work. Once the over fenders for both sides are complete, I already have the paint for the car, which I've had for a while, but again, I already have it. So it'll be over fenders. Once the over fenders are complete, the car will get painted all one color, and then I'm actually gonna drive it. Now, here's the other thing. When it comes to uploading in the future, I don't know. Because essentially this channel was made to help people out with installs and give information or examples of when there wasn't information. Like, for example, at the time that I made the install video for the typical front-facing intake manifold, I recognized that there was a thing where most front-facing intake manifolds for RB engines came without instructions. So I'm like, okay, well, let me make a video to help people who don't know how to install it, have a little bit of an idea to install it. Technically, I'm not a professional, but I did go to school for automotive and I used that to create my passion. So if I can help somebody along the way, at least give somebody an idea of what to do, that's pretty much the purpose of this channel. I never intended to be a vlogger where, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to the race day and record myself going to the race day. I've never intended for the channel to be something like that. I don't know how that will work with me specifically filming that type of stuff. Never thought about it, honestly. But I mean, obviously, once the car is painted and ready, it would go see some track days. That's what I built it for. I just don't know if I would record it or anything like that, or if I never planned on recording it. That's the main thing. But I might drop some stuff here and there. Who knows? The main thing is the car is pretty much really getting close to being done. Like, honestly, if I didn't decide to do the over fenders project, I would have already painted the car by now and had it on the road. So main thing was to just post this video, give everybody who cares a bit of an update and let you guys know the direction that I'm going with the car and everything. And that's that. And I don't know if I'm gonna make a full video on this because I'm kind of already halfway into it, but who knows. Ugh. And I'm still kind of working on the finances part, so it'll still be a little minute between the uploads and all that stuff. But anyways, I'm not gonna ramble on any longer. I'm already, without editing, I've already been talking for 16 minutes. So I'm gonna just say like, comment, subscribe, follow the build if you want to. And yeah, till next time.